Isn't this like weird because it's like forced now? Like we're forced to have this conversation. It feels like there's a third person in the car, but it's like just really the camera.
No, but you're talking way louder than you normally would, so you can chill.
I wanted to tell our viewers something about the film. And it's been heavy on my soul for the past.
So extra.
Trista, the film, the short film that my beautiful wife helped me write. As you all know, it will be released on October 27th. One of the things that I have been thinking about recently is that I want this to be impactful. I want it to be an impactful film. But what I've realized is that as a filmmaker, I can be impactful by making films. Making films for awareness is cool, but I also have to be a part of whatever it is that I'm speaking on. So, like depression, for example, right? Which is what the film is about. It's a depression awareness film. And in order to make this as impactful as possible, I have to give back to the community. Giving some of the profit to, mental health organization is probably key, especially if I'm going to make my platform based it off of truth, being sensitive to whatever community I'm coming into and talking about. It's important to give back, and I think that's what I want. That's what I want to base my whole brand on, I guess.
So why do you feel like some of our hard-earned money needs to go back to the community? Because at the end of the day, like, we put in a lot of effort. We used our apartment for this. It's not like we haven't also sacrificed to make this happen. So why do you feel like 10%, 20%, however much we agree on, needs to go back to the community?
Well, it's a part of respecting the community. You can't go in and just take. You have to give back. Like, and that's part of like giving value. And I never want to get to a point where I'm just creating a film for awareness or whatever. It's like, creating this for awareness for you guys, all right? And really, it's for me. Mm-hmm. Like, it's my own ego that's getting involved in it. That's when stuff becomes selfish. I mean, of course, like, there is selfishness in everything that we do. Like, of course, like, I want to be a full-time filmmaker. So I'm using this film as a way to, possibly catapult that, of course, but I can't just completely disregard the conversation in the mental health community. Like, right. I have to contribute in whatever way I can. And as far as I know, like, I'm not the greatest like psychologist or like therapist or whatever. Like, you can ask my wife about that. Like, I struggle speaking the truth in love. For me, I have to like kind of lead by example in what I do. So like when you were going through your mental health struggle or your anxiety episodes, I would try to like motivate you, and like it wasn't the best. But what I realized that I'm good at is like leading by example. When we started our family, I wasn't the happiest because I saw it as like Keon or marriage or whatever, like kind of like derailing my path to like film. And then what I realized is that, okay, I could either let this break me or I can just use it as a way to further my plans. And so instead I use it as a way to further myself. And in doing that, like, I found out that I can be like really disciplined. And so when I found that out and I realized that you did want better, because you have like a lot of past trauma that you've been getting over. And like what I realized that a lot of people don't see is they don't see what happens after somebody who has been abused gets with somebody else. And that's a whole another world.
And it can bring on certain triggers because now you're having to explore why you are the way you are. You have to break it down for the new person. So you have to become what you always dreamed you would become, and now you have an outside force telling you you can become everything that you wanted. So that can send you into depressive episodes, it can send you into anxiety episodes, it can send you into, you know, some people would even say that it could be a sign of bipolarism, but it's so short-lived that it's not. So it does create its own atmosphere, and the healing process is something that's difficult, and we only touch on the very beginning of it in this film, but there's so much that happens after you choose healing. There's so much that happens mentally, relationally, you know, emotionally, spiritually. So much happens after you choose healing. But it is that first step.
I remember I kind of wanted you to just like, not exactly take the lead and do it, but like I wanted you to just be like on board, like as soon as we got together, like, yo, like let's go and crush it. And you're like, yeah, let's crush it. And like, you know, like hardly any action is there. And so I was like, wait a minute, how are you not gonna, you know, go out and crush it? But like you weren't ready to. Like there's so much stuff you have to go through, a whole lot of working through your issues. And so I was like, okay, so what can I do? Because nothing I say motivates her. So the only thing I could do was lead by example, and that's one of my strengths. And I think that only worked because you wanted better. So by seeing me do it often, going to the gym often and eating better, it caused a switch to flip in your head, and you were just like, yo, the opportunity's right here. So why don't we just do this together? And I mean, we both wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning now, and like she works out at 5 a.m. in the morning, you know, at home. So we're up before our kids get up. So how this pertains to Trista, a lot of what life is habits, and like how to live a healthy life is habits. And so when you're depressed, like you don't feel, you know, motivated to do anything. But if you start making good habits, so if there's stuff that you've, you know, ever wanted to do, just start making like little advances in it. Like even if you do something like the smallest thing, like if you want to
if you want to start a vlog, go to the store and buy pretty pens, then go back to the store and buy a notebook, and then maybe a month later you write down one sentence. Like it doesn't have to be, I'm going to start a vlog, so I'm going to create this video this week and I'm going to get it done right now. Like sometimes you have to trust the process, and sometimes the process is processing through your emotions and getting to the point where you can actually do what you're setting out to do. Because if you just set yourself up for failure, all you're going to feel like is a failure. Yeah, absolutely. So absolutely follow my or our page, absolutely at EPPESOLUTELY on Instagram. It's for everybody who loves corny little love puns and stuff like that. Kids, marriage, love. Basically, fitness. she's gonna use it as a way to show her journey as she gets better. And also leave room for grace. Yeah. Leave room for you to make a mistake. It's not that you failed. It's not that you have to start over every time. You just didn't do what you intended to do at that moment. And just because the moment is gone doesn't mean the day is gone, doesn't mean the week is gone, doesn't mean that your life is gone. All you have to do is just start again. Like, just start right there. Just choose it again. It's not starting over. It's just continuing. And that was something hard for me when I was in a super depressive state, was choosing myself. Choosing that I was worth it. Choosing that the rest of the world wasn't going to judge me on whether or not I didn't do it that one time. They were going to judge me on whether or not I got back up and continued and did what I needed to do to better myself. I can only be an influence to the world if I first influence myself. So to better myself and to better the world around me, I have to choose me first. And a lot of people that I've talked to that have gone through depression, that have gone through different mental health illnesses, they have a hard time choosing themselves first. Most of the time, they're very caring, very loving people that care more about the world around them than they do themselves. And it's a really hard place to be in, when you care so much about other people's feelings to the point where you almost don't care about yourself anymore if it's at the risk of somebody else not having a good day. That's a really difficult place to be in. And so I share and I empathize those emotions with you all because I can understand and I can relate. But especially in marriage, learning how to communicate effectively, learning how to tell you, no, Chris, you're wrong. Like, that's not how this can work. This is not going to work that way. And voicing my opinion and being able to stand tall and strong on what I know is right. And then also learning that sometimes we're both right. Sometimes neither of us are wrong. We just have different ways of viewing the same
that's
issue.
The craziest thing. I'll try to record one of those arguments when we're literally saying the same thing in a different way.
It's really frustrating when we get to the end of the argument and we're saying the same thing.
Yeah, we're saying the same thing. So now we're kind of learning how to just be like, okay, we're saying the same thing. Let's just stop before this turns into something that it doesn't need to turn into.
Yeah. In Trista, you'll see an abusive relationship. Mm-hmm. And don't be Trista in the fact that she continues to care about what the person is telling her. Instead, choose to listen to your own thoughts. Choose to listen to that inner person that's saying, like, you can do this, you can get through this, you're the one that makes that choice. Listen to that person. Be Trista's inner thoughts for her. Like, choose to tell Trista what she needs to do. Because I know the first time I read the script, the first time that we went through this, I was like, oh my gosh, this guy is such a jerk. Like, what? Who would allow something like that to happen? Mm-hmm. Where are her friends? Where is her family? Why has no one told her differently? It's a really good film about how to change your thought process and how to change the way that you talk to yourself.
I know it can be hard when you're in the throes of depression to reach out to people, but like some people might be able to, overcome it by themselves. But if you know that you're slipping, you gotta reach out, because not everybody will be able to tell. I mean, I know you guys have all seen that post on Facebook or Instagram, where it says this is what depression looks like, and it has all the people who have died from depression or have died from suicide, and they're all smiling.
Yeah.
So
because again, they cared more about the people around them than they did their own feelings. So while our family and friends are important, you have to make yourself a priority. So if that means coming to see Trista, if that means going to the park and sitting on a bench and just watching one of those memes that tell you when to inhale and exhale, if that means listening to, gong music, if that means, going to meditation, if that means going to a religious place like a church or going to a field and just sitting and just focusing your thought on yourself, because it's not selfish to take care of yourself. And if that's the way that you view it, then you need to change what your view is on selfishness.
I will definitely be one of the first to donate. We don't have much to give, but I will say this. I do, however the ticket sales go, because, I don't know how it's going to turn out, but I will say that I want to give 100. So if that's okay with you.
Well, then we'll double it. We'll give 200 regardless of ticket sales. Not out of profit, out of our piggy bank, out of our money. 200.
Yeah. If you guys want to get tickets, you can get tickets on Eventbrite. Tickets are $20 for two people. So you get one ticket for $20, but you can bring a friend for free, basically. So you can find those on eventbrite.com. Just search Trista, Trista, and then it should come up. You should see the poster and everything. So looking forward to seeing you guys. And
we wish you well. Yeah. Good luck on your ventures.